Hi, and welcome back to the Capital Review. I'm Nick Halter, and we're joined for the last Capital Review of the session with Representative Kathy Brynaert. Kathy, thanks for being on here one more time with us.
Thanks, Nick.
And we left off just now talking about jobs, and the first part of it was the bonding bill that we had, and that's going to do a lot of the capital improvements around the state. But now we have a tax credit jobs bill that was passed right at the end of March, right before the Easter break. And that's going to help out a lot of things across the state. Can you describe some of the key provisions in there?
Sure, I'd be glad to. One of the things that we've worked hard over a long time for was the angel investment tax credit, and that was a bipartisan effort. It's been worked on both through the legislature and the governor's office over the last 3 years, and finally we were able to accomplish that, to shape that bill and put $10 million toward credits that investors will have to incentivize innovation in very small new business development, so that some of our entrepreneurs are able to be supported in their financial risk as they move forward with their initiatives. So angel investment was a big piece, historical rehabilitation. So there's historic structures that will now be able to get loans to be updated and restored. And that's really exciting for some of our communities, particularly in the Mankato, North Mankato area, where we have quite a few historic buildings. I think, though, that resource will be very helpful for job creation.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the angel investor tax credit, for instance, and the DEED, the Department of Employment and Economic Development report, you know, as many as 12,000 jobs could be created as a result of that. And these are, you know, fairly high-paying, good, you know, high-tech industry jobs that might become a result of that tax credit. You're
totally correct, especially that historic rehabilitation credit. Mm-hmm. But another area that should stimulate job growth is the tax increment financing. The TIF credit has been opened up. Some of the requirements have been loosened a little, so districts can more easily create a TIF district or renew or restore a TIF district, and North Mankato is a community that has taken advantage of that, and we actually have land where ground will be broke next week for Marigold Dairy Development. It used to be a Marigold Dairy Development. It's now going to be a high-rise office building.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see sort of some of the fruits of this labor that came, you know, a few months ago, and it's sometimes hard to envision how this was all going to pan out. But it's nice to see that they're finally breaking ground.
That's right, and I'm going to be pleased to share with our community the benefit of some of the work that's been done here. Representative Morrow carried that bill, and our community is really thrilled to see the results.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that was a bipartisan bill, the tax credit bill, and with some of the TIP provisions as well. I was just looking at some stats from this session, and we've had over 250 bills, and 80% of them have passed with more than 100 votes, which in a 134-member body, that's a lot of bipartisan work.
And that's a really important point, Nick. Often at the end of session, when things seem to be so cantankerous and difficult, and it seems like we're quite split and rigid on a number of major issues, we forget that 80% work that we've done throughout the session, that we've done across party lines, where we've shared concerns about how to support our small businesses, how to help rural communities, how to support farmers and vets, how to help our students with some controls on their tuition. Mm-hmm. You know, all of those things are common interests we have as legislators.
Mm-hmm. And other things like, you know, DWI enforcement and you know, domestic abuse. Some of these public safety concerns as well have been taken up on a bipartisan level.
Public safety has done quite a lot of very important work this session, and the domestic abuse legislation is a priority. And Mankato particularly had some very serious circumstances this last year that made people pleased that we were changing the law in a way that would help protect citizens.
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, this is the last show of the session. What are you going to be doing this summer, Representative?
Well, I'll be working now to respond to my constituents. I'm sending out some graduation letters to hundreds of high school students who are graduating in the area, congratulating them, and I'll be spending time in the community, visiting with small businesses, local government officials, catching up on their perspectives on how the session went and where we might go from here. And I certainly would love to respond to any constituents that want to follow through on any legislation that you've been following that you're not certain how it turned out. I'd love to follow up on that item for you. So please feel free to contact me at the Capitol or at my home. My number's in the book, and I'd take a call anytime.
Yeah. Well, Representative, it's been a pleasure to have you with us here this session, and we'll look forward to seeing you next session.
Great.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much, Nick.
All right. Thanks a lot, and thanks for joining us.